Something feels off about Drake right now. The music, the look, the moves, it doesn't feel like him. He's not leading the game like he used to. He's switching styles, chasing trends, and fans are starting to notice. This isn't the Drake we knew, and people aren't buying the change. There was a time when Drake was the moment. Every drop felt like an event. Every verse, a headline. He didn't chase trends, he was the trend. But now, the aura's fading. That effortless dominance, that quiet fear he put in other rappers, it's gone. And the shift didn't come loud, it crept in. One awkward rollout here, one flat feature there, and suddenly the guy who once controlled the sound of a generation is moving like he's unsure what sound to chase. The confidence? Still there in flashes. But the mystique, that untouchable energy that made him feel bigger than rap, is breaking, and Drake knows it. That's why his moves feel different now, not calculated like before. Reactive, like someone who feels the spotlight slipping and is throwing everything at the wall to stay visible. And when an artist who once set the culture starts responding to it, that's not evolution, that's survival mode. It's not that Drake's fallen off. It's that he's moving like someone who finally knows he could, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's why the shift feels so jarring. Drake didn't just pivot, he swerved into full-blown cosplay. 1 minute he's the Six God, the blueprint for emotional rap. Next minute, he's in Nashville with Morgan Wallen, rocking cowboy hats and sipping bourbon like he's been country his whole life. It's not reinvention, it's camouflage, a distraction play, and fans aren't buying it. This isn't Take Care Drake experimenting with new sounds. This is a man trying to outrun a conversation by starting a completely different one. Linking with a pop country artist known for controversy? That's not genre blending, that's marketing spin and panic mode. Even the body language looks off, the smiles feel forced, the aura is gone, and in its place, a guy moving like a tourist in his own brand. It's not that Drake can't evolve, he always has, but this doesn't feel like growth. It feels like he's hiding, not from Kendrick, not from critics, but from the pressure of being Drake in 2025. Because when the crown feels heavy and the culture starts shifting, sometimes it's easier to grab a cowboy hat and pretend you're someone else entirely, and fans can smell that from a mile away. It's wild to think about how fast the energy flipped. This is the same Drake who used to own the summer. Every June, he'd drop a hit that would hijack every speaker, every playlist, every timeline. He didn't chase seasons, he defined them. But now, he's chasing vibes, chasing aesthetics, dropping forgettable tracks that feel more like playlist fillers than cultural moments. You can't even tell what he's aiming for anymore. Moody R&B, TikTok trap, lo-fi mood music, it all blends into this hazy stream of nothingness, and that's the part fans are struggling with. Because we didn't just listen to Drake, we felt him, the captions, the quotes, the flexes. Now it feels like he's making music for algorithms, not people. Every move seems like it's built for streams, not impact. And when the artist who used to lead starts trailing behind trends, it doesn't just confuse the audience, it disappoints them. Because deep down, fans still want that old Drake energy, not the version trying to blend in with the background. If you're feeling that shift too, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next might explain everything. The music itself tells the story, not because it's bad. Drake's too skilled to drop trash, but because it plays it way too safe. You can hear the fear of failure in every track. No risks, no wild swings, just mid-tempo melodies, recycled flows, and features that feel more like spreadsheet decisions than creative sparks. The hunger's gone. Drake used to drop songs that made the whole culture stop. Now he's dropping songs that barely make the timeline blink. It's not that he can't rap, it's that the urgency is missing, the passion, the hunger to prove something. And that's what's scary, because the scariest version of Drake wasn't just talented, he was driven. But when you've done everything, outsold everyone, and built an empire off versatility, the question becomes, what do you even rap for anymore? Right now, it feels like Drake's rapping because he has to, not because he wants to. And that subtle difference, fans feel it. The music doesn't move people like it used to. And when the emotion leaves the booth, it shows up in the silence that follows the drop. You don't need haters when apathy is louder than the applause. And that silence, it's getting filled with jokes. Drake has become a meme, and not in the way that builds hype. The culture used to laugh with him. Now it laughs at him. Every time he pops up in a new outfit, a new pose, a new awkward smile, it's instantly screenshot, captioned, and turned into a punchline. The Drake the type of guy meme used to be harmless fun. Now it feels like the internet's way of saying we don't take this guy seriously anymore. That's the danger of overexposure without evolution. You become familiar to the point of mockery, and when the image starts to crack, even the best bars can't glue it back together. Fans still listen, but they're not in awe. They're entertained, and not always in the way an artist wants. This is what happens when mystique fades, when the legend becomes too accessible, too predictable, too marketable. People stop seeing an icon and start seeing a brand mascot. And the scariest part? Drake's still in the room, but the culture's starting to talk about him like he's not. When the memes hit louder than the music, you know something's changed. Streams don't lie, but they don't tell the whole truth either. Drake's still charting, still pulling numbers, but numbers without narrative don't hit the same. He's not leading the conversation anymore, he's reacting to it, and that's a big difference. The old Drake would drop a bar and the whole industry would pivot. Now he's releasing projects that barely leave a dent outside the first week. No shockwaves, no shift in direction, just another data point for the algorithm to push. Meanwhile, younger artists are hungrier, louder, and more willing to take the risks he won't. They're setting trends while Drake is trying to keep up, dabbling in aesthetics that aren't his, attaching himself to movements that already peaked. It's not that he's irrelevant, far from it. But he's no longer the pulse. He's riding waves instead of making them. And when you're used to being the guy who defines the moment, becoming the guy who chases it, that's a quiet kind of fall. The kind that doesn't make headlines, but shows up in the way the culture talks about you. You don't lose the crown in one moment. You lose it one silent drop at a time. And it's not just Drake that feels quiet, it's everything around him. OVO used to be a movement, a full-on ecosystem. You felt the wave coming from Toronto, from the crew, from the aesthetic, the sound, the merch, all of it. But now, silence. No breakout stars, no cultural momentum, no fresh voices carrying the torch. It's like the entire brand hit pause. Or worse, ran out of ideas. The few artists still flying the OVO flag aren't making noise, they're just there. And that silence doesn't scream confidence. It whispers uncertainty, because when the boss starts pulling away from his core, from his city, his sound, his people, the whole foundation starts to shake. OVO was supposed to be Drake's empire, but empires need expansion. They need stories. They need new blood. Right now, it feels like Drake's standing in a palace with no one left in the hallways. And that emptiness, that speaks louder than a flop ever could. It's not just that he's changing, it's that he's changing alone. When the machine stops moving, you have to ask, was it ever built to last? Even his fans are starting to split. Not publicly, not in a loud he fell off kind of way, but in the quieter ways that really matter. You've got one side still holding on, defending every drop, clapping back at critics, but the other side, they're tuning out, skipping songs, not rushing to repost, just indifferent. And for an artist like Drake who built his empire on connection, on emotional grip, indifference is way more dangerous than hate. Because once your core audience starts to drift, once they stop feeling you, it's almost impossible to win them back with streams alone. Drake was never just about the bars. He was about moments, captions, mood, identity. Now he's dropping music that feels like background noise, and the people who once saw themselves in him don't see anything at all. When your fan base starts questioning who you are and who you're trying to be, the brand fractures. Slowly, quietly, until one day you look up and realize the crowd's still there, but they're not really listening. And if they're not listening, what's the point of the performance? So where does that leave us? Drake isn't finished. He's not falling off a cliff, but the version of him that once ruled every chart, every feed, every corner of culture, that Drake might not be coming back. What we're seeing now isn't a collapse, it's a transformation, but not the kind that feels exciting or intentional. It's the kind that feels like drifting, like someone letting go of the wheel and hoping autopilot can carry the legacy. And maybe that's the real shift. Drake isn't trying to lead the culture anymore, he's trying to survive it. Keep the streams high, the image clean, the relevance steady. But in doing so, he's losing the thing that made him unstoppable in the first place. The hunger, the edge, the feeling. This rebrand? It's not bold, it's not fresh, it's strange, off-brand, empty, and fans can feel that, even if they can't explain it. Because when an artist starts moving like a shadow of who they used to be, the audience doesn't always wait to see what happens next. Sometimes they've already decided. So let's talk about it. Is this a new era for Drake? Or is the culture quietly moving on without him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from the day ones and the ones who tapped out. And if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Check out the video where we break down how Drake's silence after Kendrick's Toronto show changed everything. Because trust me, that moment still haunts the timeline.